GameMasters here, and today I have a very fun D&D book to review. We're talking about The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, the newest adventure campaign book for Dungeons & Dragons, which releases on September 21st. Now, this is going to be a pretty tricky book to go over, only because it's for Dungeon Master's eyes only. No, seriously, it even says it right here in the introduction. This book is intended for DM's eyes only. So yeah, this is going to be a little tricky. I'm going to do my best to present it in as a specific generality as I can. That's kind of my way of saying, players, I'm going to attempt to avoid major spoilers in this review. Attempt being the key word there. Now, first things first, let's look back a couple of pages and read the disclaimer. I love those in these 5th edition books. And it says, disclaimer is right here, and it says, dare to take a step into the dark backward of an abysm of time? Know that Wizards of the Coast cannot be held responsible for those who enter the Feywild of their own accord. In the fairy realm, time gets twisted in knots. It might be months or years before you return to the real world. Enjoy the adventure while it lasts, and don't be surprised if you encounter a few friends and foes from old editions lurking among the Fey. And yes, I realize table of contents is right here, so absorb it. That is a major spoiler. Time, Feywild. This is gonna be fun. But the biggest question so far is, what the heck is the Feywild? Well, let's pop over to the Dungeon Master's Guide for a moment, as it explains it best. That can be found on page 49, right here, Feywild. The Feywild is the plane of the fairy. It's a land of soft lights and wonder, a place of music and death. The inhabitants know only twilight. No, not the vampire movie, just eternal sunset and dusk. It exists parallel to the material plane, where most adventurers originate, and is an alternate dimension that occupies the same cosmological space. Imagine your hometown where a looming volcano sits to the north. In the Feywild, that volcano would be a mountaintop with massive crystals that glow with an internal fire. Those familiar with World of Warcraft, think Darkmoon Faire. In the Feywild, you will find elves, pixies, dryads, sprites, satyrs, other magical creatures such as blink dogs, treants, unicorns, and of course the darker stuff like ogres, hags, sinister creatures like that. So that's a brief rundown of what the Feywild is. This campaign book, and make no mistake, that is what this is. It is a campaign setting. It's adventure after adventure designed for characters to explore. And this is the key reason why it is for Dungeon Master eyes only. And you could easily start off at level 1 in this campaign. Now, real quick, I'd like to take a moment and thank you for watching this review. It would mean a lot to me if you would click the like button, and I'd genuinely appreciate it if you would also subscribe. Those actions help me to keep this channel going and help keep producing content. I genuinely thank you for that. Now, one thing I can share with both players and DMs alike are the new backgrounds and race options. The backgrounds are Feylost and Witch Hand. The Feylost background is, as a child, you wandered off and disappeared from your home. In some fashion, you entered the Feywild and learned some of its secrets, and, well, some of its magic wore off on you. Then, by some odd means, you made your way home. Memories of the Feywild grow fainter as each day passes, but you still feel an odd longing to return to that land. But that's something that just is slightly out of grasp. Getting there. You gain the following skill proficiencies: Deception and Survival. You have a tool proficiency, which is one type of a musical instrument. You also have your pick of a language, which is Elvish, Gnomish, Sylvan, or Goblin. And for equipment, you start off with a musical instrument of your choice, a set of traveler's clothes, 3 trinkets, more on that in a moment, and a pouch containing 8 gold pieces. The Witchlight hand, while similar in background, in that as a child you wandered off and disappeared from home, except in this instance you decided to join the circus and you just never left the Feywild. For skill proficiencies, you gain performance and sleight of hand. The tool proficiencies are a disguise kit or one type of musical instrument. Languages is just one of your choice. And equipment, you start off with a disguise kit or a musical instrument of your choice, a deck of cards, a carnival uniform or costume, 1 trinket, again, a little bit more on that in a second, and of course a pouch containing 8 gold pieces. Okay, trinkets. I'm going to give you a real quick look on this. Dungeon Masters, pull out your D100s for this one. There's a table here that details out 100 different trinkets. Example of a few. Number 22, a gossamer shawl that glows faintly in the moonlight. Number 56, notebook that shows what's written on it only when held upside down. And number 90, how about that? A set of false wooden teeth. There's some pretty crazy trinkets in here. You could probably pause the video and read them, but I'm going to switch back over here because, again, I'm trying to avoid too many spoilers. Now, for race options, you can be a fairy. Imagine or think Tinkerbell. The cool thing here is you can fly. Or a Herringon. This is more like a large bipedal rabbit folk. The cool thing is you have lucky feet. So when you fail a dex roll, you can use reaction to roll a d4 and add that result to your save, potentially turning it into a successful save. Now, as far as how you enter the Feywild, there are several ideas in this book. Again, it's more for the DMs to know about. But it's something similar to how one would enter the dread realms of Ravenloft, through mists. Or you could simply enter it via a mirror, or a portal located in an ancient tower, or perhaps there is even a carnival that has popped up, and there are portals in that carnival that lead into the Witchlight Carnival. Speaking of that, the Witchlight Carnival is the very first adventure within this campaign. Now, included in the back of this book is a large map of the Witchlight Carnival. Bigger than this, it's a big fold-out map. I'm not going to take it out because I don't want to ruin the book just yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to give away a copy or not. But the Witchlight Carnival, first adventure. Now, spoilers, I don't want to say too much about it, but I will say that something fairly interesting happens every hour. And your characters will love it. I will divulge that the carnival is a gateway to the rest of the land. There are additional adventures in this book, but the carnival is kind of the jumping point that gets you from point A to point B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, etc. The owners of the carnival are Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. Witchlight, which is the name of the carnival, the wild beyond the Witchlight. So what does this mean? Well, the wild beyond the Witchlight is the carnival, and the wild is the adventures that take place once you have completed all of the adventures in, or as many of the adventures in, this opening portion as you do, as you care to. The carnival itself is massive. That contains rides, shows, games, a plethora of mystery. And one of the biggest questions you have to ask is, are the owners of the carnival, the Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, are they monsters to fight and loot, or are they there to help guide you in your adventure? Now, this is the part of the review where it starts to get difficult for me to not give away spoilers to the players. I've given out the name and a little info on the first adventure in the book, And there's some other adventures in here. I'm not going to specify how many, but each one could easily last for hours, if not weeks, in real-world playtime. This book has so much detail, and it will be incredibly easy for any dungeon master to incorporate the material into their regular campaign. Hell, even plopping it into your homebrew world is beyond easy to do. Now, did I just gloss over the adventures in here? I did. But I gotta mention that when you encounter the glasswork golem, the only spoiler I'm gonna give you, you won't see him coming. Okay, just a couple more spoilers. At the end of the book, and here's part of that map. At the end of the book, we have okay, just a couple more spoilers. The end of the book contains new magic items, which will be found throughout the adventures, but I'm going to sneak in 2 here for you. You've got the chromatic rose. So these come in 5 different colors. When you hold it by the stem, you gain resistance to damage of the type associated with the petal's color. As an action, you can blow the petals to create a 20-foot cone of acid, lightning, poison gas, fire, or cold, again based on the color of the rose. And each creature in that cone must make a DC 15 con save or take 3d10 damage of the corresponding type. And that's an awesome one there too. The last magic item that I'll kind of give you is the Woodcutter's Axe. You have a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. When you use it to attack a plant or plant type creature or a wooden object that isn't being worn or carried, the attack deals an extra 2d6 slashing damage. Now there's also factions comprised of, well, no spoilers. Now monsters. Yeah, see, I'm kind of giving away a couple of them here, of those factions, but you have monsters. Okay, these are some new monsters. Some of them are from other editions or other books as well. But one of the neat ones, there's Jabberwock. One of the neat ones that I like is the Campestries. These are, think of just giant mushrooms. They're sentient. They love music. They don't care much about anything except song and dance in a weird way. And they're not really harmful, but I can see where they would be annoying to some of the adventurers, especially if there is music playing nearby. One of the unique things that these guys can do is if they hear a song 3-4 times, they'll remember it for life. Now, lastly, there's some additional playing aids for the DM to print and use towards the very end of this book. Role-playing cards, star fights, lines, and a story tracker. Yeah, spoilers, I know. But I can easily see a crafty person creating their own versions of what's in here. You do have permission from Wizard of the Coast to print these and use these for your game. There's also a large fold-out map of the Witchlight Carnival. Again, here it's perforated paper. I really don't want to tear it out just yet, because again, I haven't decided if I'm going to give a copy of this away or not. The book itself was kind of a surprise release. Info on it was leaked about 2 months ago, but I've got to admit, this is a very unique setting in the Dungeons & Dragons library of campaigns. I've tried my best to keep this review as spoiler-free as I can, or at least I've tried to keep the spoilers as general as possible. If you're a dungeon master, you're going to enjoy what this book has to offer. If you're a player, just enjoy the ride when the DM does crack this one open. Now, there's 2 versions of this book, the regular and the collector's. Both of them retail, or both of them rather, have a suggested retail of $49.95 US dollars, and they both officially release on September 21st of 2021. With that said, I do hope you've enjoyed this review, and until next our paths cross, may you smell like fresh brownies. Okay. Are all the players gone? Perfect. DMs, ready for me to reveal some inside info on Wild Beyond the Witchlight? Well, not this video, but next week be sure to come back, subscribe, and I'll go in depth on various adventure hooks, monsters, magic items, and more that can be found within these books. Thanks, guys.